everyone. My name's Emma. Today we are talking about gratitude lists. When it comes to choices and decisions, the ones that we make with more intention, with an understanding of the consequences that come from them, will help us create a better life. Gratitude lists. I know what you're thinking. That must be a waste of time. Must be something that people do because they have nothing better to do. And if you're thinking something along those lines, or if you've never heard of it, you might be thinking that, and I was right there with you for a very long time. I thought, why would I sit there and write things that I'm grateful for? Partly because I didn't know what to be grateful for. I was like, how do I even start this? Secondly, I was like, isn't there better things to do? And then, I was constantly being bombarded with the feelings of I'm not worthy of love, I'm not enough, everything I have to say isn't worthy. People don't want to listen to me, nobody wants to be in my life and actually be present and an active participant, and a lot of these things of just feeling it wasn't enough, feeling guilty or ashamed, or just feeling sad. And then I was like, all right, this is a very narrow-minded view of the world that I exist in, that it can only be seen through this lens of pain and sadness and discomfort. So what gratitude did for me, it opened up that lens and really changed the perspective that I was looking through my own life with, let alone the rest of the world. And the way I started these lists was I would always be listening to music. And the first thing that I would always write is, I am grateful for the artist I was listening to. It changed every day. So that was how I started it. And then I would say, I'm grateful for the water bottle that I have. I just started suddenly being grateful because I had to be present. I was like, all right, what else can I say that I'm grateful for? I was like, I'm grateful I have clothes. I'm grateful that I have food. And then it was like, I just suddenly had to write down, I'm grateful for whatever I can see around me because I didn't know how else to do it. And that's really how it started. And then as I got into it, I was like, oh, your brain went down this spiral of positive things. It went down to oh, I'm grateful for having a place to sleep. I'm grateful that I have a place that I can live where it's warm. I am grateful that I have running water. I'm grateful that I have the ability to create, to think, to believe. And it began like that. And I always challenged myself to write 2 pages. And after the first page, I'd be like, I really have nothing else to write. And then I would have to get creative. It would be like, all right, I'm grateful for YouTube. I'm grateful for Instagram. I'm grateful for TikTok. Usually I would just write them as one line. But, whatever you can think of to be grateful for that you genuinely do like and have in your life. If it's, I'm grateful that I have Spotify. And then you can go further because I can just tune out everything and listen to my favorite artist. You can be as in depth with the responses or as just I'm grateful I have running water. I'm grateful I have water. So it really is up to you. But I always realized that after I felt the feelings that you get from just being present and being grateful and realizing hey, my life's really not as detrimental as the world ending as I had made it seem, it really changed my mindset. And the rest of the day, I often felt better. And, I try to sustain that feeling for as long as possible. If somebody would get upset or somebody would be annoyed at something at work, I was always able to tap into that emotion that I was able to cultivate that morning, or if I had done it for a while, just in general. So, after writing it for quite some time, I was able to just start saying it throughout the day. I was like, I'm grateful that I have the ability to do the dishes. I don't want to be I don't want to be annoyed that I have to do that. I'm grateful that I have the ability to do it in whatever capacity that you can. And just flipping the perspective you have on something really changes your view on it. And that's all that we can control, and we get to control all the time, is the view that we have of the world. And all perspective really is limited. But the more perspectives we get, we realize that everything's actually okay. Everything is fine. I don't have to feel burdened by the world and the worries of the world. I can just choose to be grateful in this moment and to accept this moment for what it is. And the thing about gratitude lists, it forces you to be present, because it's really hard to be grateful for something if you're worrying about something, if you're anxious about something, and it's not a foolproof plan. It's not going to change how you feel forever. You're not going to write 3 gratitude lists and you're never going to be upset again. But it gives you perspective. And that's what we seek on this channel, is how can we get more perspectives constantly? How can we be surrounded by different views and have those views shape who we are. And how can we learn from that? And then it makes you realize that everywhere you look, there's information that you can learn. Whether that be some brand new person that you met, something at work that you didn't really see before, there's always information to be learned. And then it also turns people coming and going into your life into something that you're grateful for. That you're grateful that in that moment you were able to connect to someone, and however long that moment lasted, whether it was a night or it was a few months, few years, 15, 20 years, you were able to connect to somebody and you were able to change each other's lives, even if it was just for a second. And you will get to be able to carry that experience with you for the rest of your life. And gratitude turns that into something beautiful instead of something like, oh, it's over, I'll never find anyone. It's like, you know what, whatever happened, I'm grateful this person came into my life in the amount of time that they did, and they are now able to continue their life. I'm able to continue my life, and for a brief moment, we were able to connect. And is that not the point of life, is to continue to connect to people wherever you go? I've traveled to different places, I've met so many different people. And when I think about it, I'm grateful I got to meet so many people. There are so many people that I met who I only knew for a single day, who I still think about. And I'm still grateful that I got that experience because I learned something that we talked about changed my perspective on the world. And that's what gratitude can do for you. And it changes the approach that you have towards different things in your life. If you're really annoyed about your job, becoming grateful that you have a place to go where you can make money, where, you know, you have a safe place to live and you can afford food, or whatever ways you can look at it in a positive light, will change how you feel about it. And if you can change how you feel about something that seems like such a burden, a lot of other things begin to get easier. Of course, this isn't foolproof. You're not gonna do this and never feel upset. But the point is that all of our emotions are wonderful and they're amazing, and the hard ones and the fun ones are both ones that we can learn from. And if we're learning, and if we get to be grateful at the same time, and if we get to expand our perspective, then we are fulfilling what it's like and the point of being a human. And is that not the goal of everything? That's what the self-care journey and the self-love journey is all about. It's taking care of you. And once you're able to do that and establish this sense of self that's valuable and important and grateful, you can then expand that worldview onto everybody around you. And that's really the idea of what I got out of gratitude lists. I know it seems so small. I'm grateful for water to get to that point where it really shifts everything else in your life, and everything seems to shift and then fall into place, and then you're like, that's why that happened. You learn perspective and acceptance and gratitude all in one, just by writing a few lines. And you can start off with just one thing, or you can just write, I am grateful, and that's it. And then, you can work up to writing things after I am grateful. But just start off saying, I am grateful. If something bad happens, come up with something that you can be grateful for in that moment, even if it's completely irrelevant to the situation. If a meeting comes up at work, or you miss a deadline or something, if you can just take a second to break that wave of thinking and say, I'm grateful for the fact that my internet's still working. I don't know, come up with something. It'll change the rest of the day or rest of that moment that you have to deal with that. And it just takes a little bit just to disrupt the thought into creating a better view of it. And it's not easy. It takes a while to get there, and I'm still absolutely working on it. And I do still realize the days I write the gratitude list, I feel better. But it's all a journey. It's all a journey that we'll do for the rest of our life. This is our life's work, and we need to be appreciative of where we are so that we can someday get to being somewhere else. But if we're not grateful for right now, how are we ever going to be grateful if we have all the millions of dollars? It won't change. It will just have new problems and new things to complain about. We'll just have another $1 million. So it also changes the reason why you're doing things. If you're doing things to someday make $1 million, why? Why do you need $1 million? What's going to be different than then that isn't happening right now? Are you going to be happier? Are you going to have more time to enjoy things? And why do you want to enjoy things? Because you're grateful for them? We can choose to be grateful now, so that when we do have more time and are able to be with more people and enjoy our time doing whatever it is we want, we'll actually be grateful for it because we were able to be grateful when we didn't have those things, when we had other things. And we always have something to be grateful for. And that's really the idea and the point that I learned from gratitude lists. So I hope you try. I hope you check them out. There's so many videos out there. I'll post a few down below. There's so many different ways to write them. I'll post a few different things that you can be grateful for and write them out. Even just sitting there and copying what somebody else wrote down can still evoke those same feelings. Hope you learned something today. I hope that we can keep this conversation going. But until then, have an amazing day.